Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to Canadians with Disabilities and Their Allies. My name is Brent Frain. I'm the host. The show is known as PWD Allies Podcast. Please share, subscribe, like, and also tune into your favorite app wherever you find it best suited for you for the podcast version. Be on Spotify, Apple Music, you name it. It's out there. But hey, with all that being said, today I have a really awesome guest joining me. Chantelle Montour is joining me. Thank you very much, Chantelle, for coming on today.
No problem. We've got lots to talk about.
Yes, the last time that I had you on was way back when in the golden era of the Twitter space when the show was first born there, and that's
Twitter
where,
what? Twitter what?
Twitter space, and that was when the DERB was actually founded too. Instead of Serb DERB, yeah, that's where we found it there too.
DERB, yep.
Yep.
That's where it all started with. That's how we found each other through trying to get DERB, trying to get help for our people, our community.
Yeah, so how times have gone forward, and thank you for coming on to the relaunch of the same show on to here. This is awesome having you on, and let's dive right into all the inequalities that you're seeing that's going on, and all the disabled people across Canada are seeing the same thing. I mean, we're hearing, but there's no results of promised benefit.
Well, it's the government. We all know it's the government. They don't know what they're doing. They're not rolling out the program the way they should be. They think they've got it already won, first off. And I'm like, I'm not voting for any of those three. If I vote NDP, I'm getting the Liberal coalition back. That's given. If I vote Liberal, I'm saying with the same crap I'm already in, and I'm up to my knees in it. And if I vote for the Conservative, I'm going back to the Harper era that I didn't want to be in. So, let's vote somebody new in. The People's Choice or Green Party, someone that doesn't sit there and think, I'm a hedge fund baby, and I'm going to get in because of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's with the amount that was proposed originally for the Canada Disability Benefit, it was no less than $1,000. Now, the recommendation was actually was from one of the individuals that was sitting on a committee that actually had recommended. There was two of them, but one definitely wrote a letter of a proposal, and it was actually indicated up to $2,000 per person.
Yeah, wasn't that Benita Zuberlo? I believe.
Yeah, there was Michael Prince and Neil Belanger, who recently.
Sorry, Brent. Let's clarify that $2,000. Now, was that a top up or was that?
That was a top up.
That was on top of our disability that we get now. Yes.
Yeah. Up on top, and
I remember because I was happier than pig and shit when I heard that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the PBO was even told that I mean $1,000 is the most minimum, and so instead it was supposed to help over 1 million people, then it went down to over 600,000 people, then it went down to 25,000.
Now it's 25,000. Oh, yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
$200. That's all they're getting is $200. Another little tinkle in the tank. That's what I call a piss in the tank, because literally that doesn't help you. That's not going to lift you out of poverty. That's just going to make you need more, because you're going to realize, you know what? Another $200 would help. Another 1,000 would be perfect. I want to be able to see Canada one day. On disability, I'll never be able to do that for a million years.
$200 is like a pebble thrown in the water. Okay, well you give 1,000, and now you can actually tread a little bit better. $2,000, now you can actually survive. And that $200, Chantelle, is only going to go to a small margin of people, if that.
Yeah, on the those that are on the disability tax credit.
Yeah,
And they're hoping that Ontario and Alberta doesn't claw back. Well,
Yeah.
guess what they're gonna do, sweetheart? They're gonna claw back.
Yeah.
We've been offered a 5% bump in Ontario. Ooh, what's that gonna do? Another tinkle in the tank.
Yeah.
But you know what? That 5%, it sounds good at 5%, but when you do the math, we're not getting like $30. It's
Yeah.
not enough.
Yeah, and this is why you know, we titled the show The Big Lie, is because when the CDB was first announced, it was announced that it was going to help 1.5 million. That's the start of it, right? And then it was going to be modeled after the guaranteed income supplement, which
senior supplement.
Senior supplement, sorry. So that was the $1,000 minimum top up that you've talked about. And then there was going to be no clawbacks, and there was going to be no barriers of entry. So that's four things that were promised, and they've lied about all four of those items.
Yeah.
Well, actually, if you watch the Royal Assent, the 10 that did pass Royal Assent, the 10 things that were supposed to happen, the only people that were going to get clawed back was CPP-D, which we could have thought that, and we would have won when we get this dweeb out of office. Some of us, of course, would have helped our friends out because I got extra money. When I got extra money, I gave some to someone I knew who needed it. Because I'm not going to take from people and not give back. That's not who I am. I'm a Canadian. I'm a Native American Canadian. When I stand on the soil, my ancestors dug this soil. They walked in this soil. So our people believe that our elders and our disabled should be taken care of. And rightfully so. We should have power. We should have our hydro done. We should have internet should be a must. I mean, everybody uses it. Everybody needs it. You can't go to school without it. You can't do anything with it without it. I mean, so there's another situational thing. And they promised, like, what they promised would have given me, with my calculations, it would have given most of us $3,600 a month. Because that was on top of our disability, right? So it would have been $3,600 a month. I would have been able to go out and grab a coffee.
Exactly.
Buy the machine that I need for my lungs. I would have been able to do that myself. And that would have raised my spirits because I did it myself. When I worked, I loved bringing home that check because you know what? I earned that check.
Yeah.
And I became a paralegal like 6 months before my body said no more.
Yeah, you know, I mean, internet and all your basic necessities are so important. I mean, if we didn't have internet right now, I wouldn't be doing the podcast.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, yeah. I mean, and so I had a question for you, Chantelle. There's a new bill that was presented. I could be quoted wrong. I mean, maybe Neil or yourself could maybe quote me wrong if I'm wrong. I think it's Bill 403. It's a bill that was presented by, I believe it's MP Laurel Collins and Lisa Marie Barron seconded the bill. And that bill is actually from the federal NDP. And what they want to do is they want to streamline the DTC process so that there's no hoops to jump through, and that they're hoping that it'll go through, that all the opposition parties will actually vote in favor of it, and the governing party, hopefully. Right. Well, knock on wood on that one, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but
they promised so much and lied. So, I don't think that that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to go through. I don't think that our prime minister will go for it because he knows he's out. So he's going to be a big hedge fund baby about everything at this point. Like, why take 8 security guards with you everywhere? You know that we're paying for those 8 security guards to go on vacation with you.
Oh my gosh.
And how much are we paying for their, like, at these big, huge hotels and everything else? How much does that take out of our checks? How much of that could go toward our checks? What about the $3 billion he's sending to Guyana to start up their own tax rebate? Hey, let them deal with their own shit. I'm sorry. I love the entire world. I love everybody in it, but I worry about Canada first. And that's what I want in a prime minister. I want someone who gives a crap about how I feel and not how they feel and what's in their pocket.
Yeah, and Canada should be taking care of their citizens. And I totally echo what you're saying is that, sure, I mean, take care of other countries, but take care of your citizens first. And then they can take care of all the crises that are going on. They have a legal responsibility, the government does, to take care of their citizens, making sure they have the basic standards are met. And when they're not meeting those basic standards, we got a huge problem. I mean, the only issue that I have with that new bill is it's still gonna be $200, right? And now is that government?
Still a tinkle in the tank. It ain't gonna do nothing for anybody.
I mean, they could push right now. The government could actually, the federal NDP. I mean, and nothing against the MPs that are watching this right now. With the the federal NDP, is that use your leverage right now and hold the current government to account, saying no less than $1,000. But passing a bill, that's great. I mean, if it did go through, I mean, that DTC would not be a hurdle. However, that $200, we need to get to $1,000 minimum and build from that point on.
Yeah, exactly. So then again, we need DERB in order to help us to get through, because
in the meantime,
we're still suffering. And how many people has he let die on the streets, in the heat, in the cold, frozen to death? People being scraped off of sidewalks. Disgusting. That is not the Canadian way. That is not the way my grandfather would have wanted it. He did not go to war for this country to become the way it is.
Yeah, stop that. I remember when I was growing up, my mom had fought in the war. Well, she didn't fight in the war, but she was actually a nurse and helping on the sidelines. And she grew up and she said that Canada, I mean, God rest her soul now, but she said it's not the Canada that she remembered. And it's, I mean, she would just be rolling over in her grave right now if she actually saw what was going on now. Like, she'd be totally disgusted.
The Canada of now claws back pensions of veterans that fought for freedom of this country. There's a pink unicorn behind your head there, Brent.
Oh, geez, yeah, there is, yeah.
And I mean, the reason I always say talk about pink unicorns is because, I mean, it's so prevalent. I mean, this idea that $200 is going to lift anybody out of poverty, that's pink unicorn stuff. And the idea that somehow, like you and I, Brent, in BC here, we're getting $1,500 max for provincial support.
That's if you opt out of your bus pass, though.
If you opt out of the bus pass, yes.
Yeah.
If you opt out of the bus pass, yes.
Oh yeah. Otherwise, it's $1,483. If you opt out of the bus pass, you'll get $1,535. But then you go with no transportation, no access to getting food. So then what?
And the idea that $1,500 is supposed to be enough to do your housing and your groceries and your utilities, that is pink unicorn stuff too. Because at $1,500 a month for support, you're spending all of it on your rent, and there's nothing left for food. There's nothing left for utilities. There's nothing left for haircuts. Nothing left for anything.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said to my friend. I'm like, if you believe that $200 is gonna help you, I got a bridge I can sell you. It's the Rainbow Bridge. I'll sell it to you for $50,000. And you can own that bridge if that's what you believe. If you believe that $200 is gonna raise you up out of poverty, then I got a bridge.
Yeah.
You can buy my bridge.
Yeah. And it's only
The
gonna
pink
go to,
unicorns are walking across that rainbow bridge.
oh
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's right.
It's only 40% of the PWD who have access to a DTC, if they can even get that DTC. You know, $200 at $6.66 a day.
I
Like,
tried to get on that DTC. The hoops they want you to jump through,
oh,
the doctors they want you to see. They used to want you to see their doctors, so I don't know if that's changed or not. Yeah, no, I jumped through those hoops and got denied once. Thanks, but no thanks.
yeah, you know, even a doctor could sign it and say, you know, all good faith. Then their doctors through CRA will then look at it and go, no,
Nope,
you know,
you're
and
out.
then fee too on top of that too. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they've made my husband jump through so many hoops just to get on ODSP. It's took us from 2021 till now. He just got on it because we've been fighting so hard. We had to go to court, and like I just stood there like a paralegal and just like said, "Look, he has COPD. He has issues with his weight. He has like all these issues. Like, hello, like." I just basically laid it out. Like everything that the doctors say, yes, that's true. That is happening to my husband. And they were like, well, we need to hear from him. I'm like, he has issues talking to people. He cannot, like, he's not comfortable. Even in this kind of situation that I'm in with my face covered, he's uncomfortable with that kind of situation. So I told them, I was like, you either get me or you get nobody. But you're gonna put my boy through or I'm gonna take you to the Supreme Court. I don't care where we gotta go. And a week later, literally a week later, he's in. Okay.
Wow. Yeah, you know, it's so sad that
But
you
how
know,
many people
system is
don't
still
have that advocate? How many children don't have that advocate? That's who I'm fighting for. My kids, my grandkids, my great grandchildren, because this is not the Canada I grew up in, and I don't want them to grow up in a different Canada. I don't want them to be like, oh, I'm ashamed of my country because on the world stage, we're a joke. Because that's what he's made us. With the India situation, that never even got resolved. He never even showed papers or anything. All his CNC level on bullshit, all this crap, like he's got to go. He should have been out 8 years ago, 7 years ago, when he made all kinds of promises. Nothing happened. We tried to put a bill through before C-22.
Yep.
And because of his stupid re-election, we had to start all over again. So we've known each other since the beginning.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Bill C-35, and I remember the first reading of that bill. And I used to watch on the news hour every morning. I'd watch the news, and then all of a sudden, you know, Mr. Trudeau would come out of his cottage, and he did breaking news on the news hour. And I watch, you know, every morning thinking, okay, well, they're going to make an announcement for help for persons with disabilities. Nope. Oh, maybe tomorrow. You know, and then the provincial government at the same time, there was no rate increase. Oh, well, don't worry. You know, I was telling a neighbor, don't worry. You know, the federal government's going to do the rate thing and they'll make the announcement. Don't worry. And guess what? Folks? We were the last ones of that announcement of saying, and the most vulnerable, the population. Well, first they started talking about seniors, the most vulnerable. Yeah. Then they talk about persons with disabilities. We have your back. Don't worry. We're going to come out with a historic new investment with disabilities. And I was cautiously optimistic at that time. I thought, okay. And that's when I leaned out to Neil and I said, Neil, like, I think we should launch a show. I think we should do something. 'Cause I saw something going with this, and I thought, yeah, like this is going to take off
Yeah.
really well.
This is gonna be either an issue or a good thing. And
Yep.
I saw through them lion eyes when people voted him in for his stupid hair. It wasn't even that good looking. He wasn't even that good looking. He got in on his name and his hedge fund. That's it. And his dad even had the balls to know when he was beat. I mean, that historic walk his dad took and resigned because he knew he was doing wrong. He wasn't doing what the country wanted. But he had the cojones to say, "Hey, I'm not this is not my issue and I can't deal with it because I have issues at home. I have issues and he left. He stepped down. That's what Trudeau, Doug Ford, Chrystia Freeland, and anyone who attempted to help with Bill C-35, because they were lying to all of us. That what's her name? I keep forgetting her name. That the one that's appointed as the disability minister, but yes, she doesn't answer emails
Yeah.
or
Kamel.
writing.
Yeah, Kamel. Yeah.
Kamel, yeah. And then there was Carla Quantrill before her. Yeah.
Yeah, Qualtrough was before her. I didn't like her either. And then this one here, and she thinks she's proud. She's proud of herself.
Apparently, she blocked
what?
people.
What are you proud of? What did you do this year? Because nothing happened. Everything you said you were going to help.
I really do think, though, that if Carla Qualtrough had stayed on the file, I know she got a lot of heat and a lot of criticism, and it was warranted in some cases. I do believe that. I'm not saying it wasn't, but I also believe that if she had stayed on the file,
things would have gotten done.
Things would have gotten done, and it would have been more than $200.
Yeah, because she
potentially
was adamant on that. There was just some things that I just didn't like about her, but it didn't mean that I couldn't get on board the train. I was there, right? I was on board the Qualtrough train, and then it just got derailed by Trudeau because she was coming around to our way of thinking. She started off a politician, and we were molding her into thinking the way we needed her to think as a politician should think. The only one that I've ever gotten to listen to me that way is Sarah Jama. Sarah Hamilton. She's my MPP, and she answers her phone for one. She answers her emails. Oh yeah, every day back within 24 hours. I was like, whoa, who are you?
Yeah.
Where did you come from? And she's got cerebral palsy, so don't think you define it anything because of your disability. You are who you are inside your head. And don't let anybody define anybody by their disability. You are who you are.
Exactly.
And that's the way you're supposed to be.
Yeah, you're just who you are, and you just accept that's just who you are, and you love who you are, and that's the beautiful part in life is, just kind of going with it, and yeah.
Some people might recognize this, but I've actually taken it on as a saying: if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you gonna love someone else?
Exactly. Nicely said.
And that came from RuPaul. Just saying.
Yeah.
Well, and we started the show, kind of referencing the fact that we've all had jobs at one point, right? And but then a disability or the existing disability gets in the way. I mean, I've said lots of times that I've worked for over 20 years, and I worked hard. Like I worked for over. I did like 40-hour plus work weeks, like 40 to 50-hour work weeks. Yeah. And so I worked really hard, but aside from that, even there's a lot of people with disabilities that maybe have never worked either at all or not much at all.
Mhm.
but that
That doesn't
that
stop them from working.
that shouldn't you know minimize your worth just
No.
because
Yeah.
you can't work now. Uh,
Mhm.
that shouldn't be a black mark on your worth, because like even again with my situation, I mean, my body is, and again, and this is only my example. I mean, there's lots of examples out there, but I know that my body now, it's pushing me back so hard. It's basically saying like, you're well past your best before date. Um,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I
and
feel you.
like the cerebral palsy, when
Mhm.
I hit 50, it was like dropping off a cliff. Like it was just like, okay, you're 50 now. It's like, bang, here's your new reality. And
That's when you need that parachute.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I was kind of wondering, like, when is that going to happen, right? When is that going to happen? And then like I was kind of always waiting for that shoe to drop, and then right around 50, it dropped then.
Well, the
And
old thing is, Neil, is there's a lot of people that will do repetitious work. They
yeah,
and then they get problems with their shoulders. They get problems with their wrists.
mhm,
If they
That's
do
my husband. Yeah.
and for me, like I did a lot of typing over time. I had problems. Then I had problems with my shoulder. Now I mean it's good as long as I don't do major
yeah,
repetitious stuff. Otherwise, it's just like, hey, hi, remember me? It's like, no, no,
yeah.
no, you know.
One
Yeah.
one little thing I just wanted to add though before we move on is this idea that again, there are people out there with disabilities where somebody can say, well, they've never worked, they must be lazy. And I mean, again, you could say this, you could put that label on me now. You could say, Neil, you're not really doing anything. You're lazy. You should get a job. And it's like, well, I did that, and my body is pushing back hard now,
Yeah.
and plus the fact we have to acknowledge that there's a lot of things that people do.
Hmm.
Again, myself, I want to use myself as an example because
Yeah.
I don't want to put I don't want to put me on
Sure,
somebody else,
sure,
right?
Yeah.
fun
Yeah.
for him
Right.
out. Yeah, no,
So like in my situation, like I'm a parent. Being a
mhm.
parent, you don't get paid for that.
No.
But
No. No.
it's serious work. To be
Yeah.
a parent is serious work. It's a
At
lot.
24/7 for
Yeah,
Yeah.
30 years, baby. Oh,
and
And
and then some.
there's
and
no
I,
break.
and I've been on, like, another thing is that I've been on Strata Council for the last four years doing Strata Council work. That's serious crap as
That's
well.
not,
That
that's not easy
that takes
on your body.
a lot of work and effort. And
Hmm.
so again, that's just, and like this podcast takes a lot of work, and we're not getting paid for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But and then to widen it up and to include everybody else, like me, that is doing a lot of shit out there.
Hmm.
um like I've said before, there's a lot of people out there with disabilities that are the emotional psychological support
yeah,
for a lot of ABs, for a lot
Yeah.
of ABs out there.
yeah.
We are the emotional psychological support for a lot of people.
I have
So
found that out so much. Like I always say my DMs are a safe space. If you want to bitch, bellyache, and complain, honey, I'm here for you.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
But wow, the response that I got, I was not expecting that kind of response. There were so many people. I can't pay my bills this month.
mhm,
My kids, I just want to be able to give my kids a birthday party. I
Yeah.
just want to be able to do this for my children. My kids aren't eating properly. Like this was when that took an emotional, mental toll on me, and it still does. But I'll still read every single one and answer every single person because I said this is a safe space. Bitch, bellyache, complain. I don't care. I'll be there for you.
Hmm.
And I still to this day get all kinds of people. You know what? I just need you to sit and listen.
There's
I'm here. It's what I'm here for.
there's
Basically.
so many sad stories of what what people are going through, like suffering across the country. On our local news this morning, Chantelle, they're talking about a major surge in food bank usage of new applicants signing up, and people working full time, and they still can't afford the cost of living. And so imagine, I mean, people that aren't working, that are disabled, that worked all their life, and now they became disabled, no fault of their own. It's just who they are. It's just life. One simple little thing can happen in life, and you can get more disabilities, or you can become disabled. And now the same people that would say, "Oh, just go get a job, go get a job," and now they're in the situation where they're like, "Oh, like now they're suffering too, and they're having to get food bank usage, and
that
where
may
they
not be there.
and they can't even provide
I have
themselves.
called sometimes, and they said, "I'm sorry, we're out. We don't have anything."
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, how many kids are out there not eating? Like my babies, for instance, I got two still at home with me, and they're neurodivergent, and all you get for disability being a child is $250. That's it. That's
Yeah.
all. Now we all know that, okay, that tag on that shirt is itchy and I can't wear that shirt. Oh, all of a sudden that isn't comfortable for me anymore. Like, and now that they're teenagers, it's, Mom, I can't go to school wearing that.
Mm-hmm.
My my pants are starting to look like capris.
Oh,
Things like that come up, and it's like, what am I supposed to do other than beg people for money? And I'm a very proud woman. So if I don't need to beg, I'm not begging for nobody. And it's like, I have no choice. For my children, I have no choice but to beg and plead, just for the basics.
exactly. There should be a basic standard of living, and that needs to be met by our government of all
And
levels, like
there
federal,
was.
provincial.
There was, though, if you remember when they were given CERB out,
Oh
oh
yeah.
boy, everybody had $2,000 in their
Yeah.
pocket like that. Snap,
Yeah.
snap, boom, it was done.
Oh
How
yeah.
come snap, snap, we can't roll out our program the way we wanted it rolled out?
Well, Justin Trudeau said $2,000 was the most basic, most
Basic.
minimal amount for
That's
people.
right. Well, I'm not getting, I got 4 people to feed,
That
2
was 4
people
years
on
ago.
disability.
Yeah.
4 people, 2 people on disability, actually, including the children, they're on disability too. And we make $1,800 a month. My rent is $1,584. That leaves me with $2.16 for each of us to eat.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, Chantelle.
And just to back up the train a little bit, I mean, when the CERB was announced, and like you said, the $2,000 was the minimum base amount for a human being to live. So
Yeah.
right there, that shone a very bright light, right? I mean, it was so obvious for everybody in the disability community. Okay, our prime minister is admitting it takes $2,000 for a human being to sustain themselves.
Yeah, for one person.
And now, 4 years later, our prime minister and the other politicians, I mean, let's include the provinces as well. They're saying, well, I mean, $2,000. Sorry, what was that? Like, does that apply to PWD? What?
Well, that's $2,000 now. 4 years later
Well,
is
and I
$600.
never received that $2,000 CERB check. Did you?
I never applied for it because I was told not to.
Yeah, me
Like,
too. I was told not to also.
we were told
I
not
was
to.
told it was going to, we were going to get clawed back in the end.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I never applied.
My dad said, don't do that because
Yeah.
they're going to bite you in the ass.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he was right. And look at how many of us are in that situation now, too. I know this one woman, she fights with her worker all the time for her incontinence products. This month, she wrote me and she was like, I was stuck in a tub for 10 days. I've got sores and bruises all over my back, and I don't know what to do. I'm just laying here, and I'm like, like she was just, you could tell she was just had it at that point. And I was like, you know what? I'll try and get you. I tried begging for her even, and what can you do? Like, she was stuck because her worker had missed the date and then went on vacation.
How
And there was
convenient.
nobody else
Wow.
to sign that little slip.
Wow.
Ridiculous.
You look at what their priorities are. If it doesn't affect their life, then they just go on vacation. And I mean, look at Parliament. I mean, right now the number one priority was to get that bill pushed through, get a standard, get like a Durb in there until they can figure out their left foot from the right foot and tie the shoelaces up, right, and get
We're
that.
not gonna be able to do that.
But yeah, they go. Yeah, and then they say, "Oh, well, we got to go on summer vacation now, do we?" Well, PWD, we don't take a break.
I never get a vacation. My pain is here 24/7. So where's my break? I don't got no break. And how many jobs do you know take 8 months or 2 months off?
Yeah,
right?
or Doug Ford, he's had 19 weeks off apparently. Yeah, nothing to do until October apparently.
Well, if you think about it, like, what on earth did they do to deserve the 8 weeks off? Like, a teacher deserves 8 weeks. I mean, they deserve 8 weeks off. I had 5 kids, so trying to deal with 25 kids every day, no way.
Yeah, I remember having class for 32 kids in there.
Oh God, no.
Oh yeah. Overflow,
Yeah. Well, now the classrooms, even that, the 60 kids. What are you doing? Don't cry. They're not, my kids aren't sardines. Sorry.
Yeah.
And there's no air conditioning in the schools. I mean, and it's been over 40 degrees, and then they send them walking home. Like,
right.
One doesn't make sense here. And our government is doing the same thing. I stopped watching Question Period like months ago because there's good questions asked, but those 8 stupid talking points are all he answers. He doesn't answer the actual question. He just says, well, we have a AAA credit rating. Okay, you can borrow money. Congratulations. A lot of people have a good credit rating and still don't have enough money to live.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. A question for you, Chantelle. What would you like to see the government do? Like, what would you like the federal government to do right now?
I want them to roll out the program the way we want it done. The way it should be done. We should put OAS and pensions all together and divvy it out so everybody gets that 36,000 or sorry, 3,600 a month.
I was going to say 36,000. That would definitely.
That would be nice. That would be real nice.
Well, that's
some daydreaming that I was going through there.
Yeah.
Daydreaming. It's all good. But
no, I know.
The 3,600 would allow me to go to coffee with my kids. Allow me to go visit my grandson for the first time because I've never been able to see him. So, I mean, it would give us all a little bit of leeway to breathe. So we're not running a rat race on top of our illnesses, which is making our illnesses worse. I have been in and out of hospital because I'm stressed out 24/7. I'm stressed out. Do we have enough of this? Do we have enough of that? Oh my God, the money's gone. Where did it go? How fast it goes. It goes in my bank and an hour later it is gone and I have no idea. Like, it's gone on internet, on hydro, things that should be covered in this day and age because they're an absolute necessity to life.
Yeah, the buying power of the dollar, it just does not stretch that far anymore either. And then of course the cost of these companies, the services have just gone up too. They just keep putting the price
Yeah.
up, and meanwhile ODSP or any other disability program across the country, they say, oh, skip a year or skip a couple years and throw a couple of dollars. Here you go. Here's a rate increase. Well, by then it goes to your landlord, so you don't really benefit from it. I mean,
exactly. Like I said, Doug Ford stated, no, I don't, it's not probably going to happen, but he stated he was going to give us that 5% little bump, which is like a tinkle in the tank again, just to try and make us happy, which is not going to make me happy no matter what. And like, no, I want what was like stated in Bill C-22. I want that rolled out. That passed royal assent. It is illegal for them to roll out the program in the way that they're doing. It wasn't supposed to help 60,000 people. It wasn't supposed to only help 25,000 people. It was supposed to help 1.5 million Canadians lifted up out of poverty. No more tent cities. Imagine that.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the amount was supposed to be modeled after the GIS, and that's what Carla Quantrill ran with. After we gave her all the submissions, we gave her all the ideas of suggestions of what we all want, disability community, and like you mentioned earlier, we kind of molded her to the understanding of this is what we want, not with what the politicians want for us, is what we want, and they just completely went 360 and went the other way around. I know we had Michael Prince and Neil Belangi on Neil, and they felt that the decision ended up in the the Prime Minister's office, probably the finance department. Somebody in there made that final decision. Hey, let's do no more than $200. That's an insult to Canadians with disabilities of all levels.
But as well as the elderly, because they were supposed to help them as well.
Yes, it is. I mean, adults with disabilities. I mean, seniors. I mean, it doesn't stop at 65. I mean, for God's sake.
That's a flipping joke.
But I'm glad you mentioned. Sorry, Chantelle. I was going to say I'm glad you mentioned that you made a passing comment about the 10 cities.
Yes,
and I'm glad you mentioned that though, because I mean, it was only a couple shows ago we had MJ Belanger on and Jeff Salisbury, and we were talking about the federal provincial transfer taxes, right? Or transfer payments, transfer payments, and MJ made the point that, I mean, others have made the point for decades. It's not just her. For decades, this point has been made that poverty costs the governments, whether it's federal or provincial, poverty costs governments, billions of dollars, literally billions of dollars.
Yeah. I think it averages out to about $45,000 per person per month to keep them in poverty.
No, it was higher. It was higher? They did a calculation and it averages out to it costs $58,000.
Oh, it's gone up now. Okay.
$58,000 to keep a person in poverty.
Yeah. It used to be 45. Now it's 58. Okay, so basically it's
$58,000 it costs to keep a person in poverty.
So that number,
imagine if they were to put that towards communities for us.
Yeah.
An apartment built for me where I can get around, where I can make dinner, where I can get in the bathroom by myself without help. Like they could build those very easily. Yeah. I would love to live with in a community where people understand, hey, if I'm not out for a few days, it's because I'm sleeping and my shit is bugging me. Don't play your music loud. You know what I mean?
It's about being independent and having the accessibility at reach, that you can just do what you want to do as an individual, and rather than the government saying, "Well, how do we fix these things?" Well, talk to the person who's actually, in a wheelchair or a mobile scooter. Somebody who says, "Hey, lived experience." Like talk to that person.
Yeah.
They better. Well, they know better for themselves.
Brent and Chantelle, just to let you know, like I think I did tell you, I just recently did get my bathroom redone in my master bedroom.
Yeah, how is that?
It's great. I've had it for about a month and a half, and it's a fully just walk-in shower now. I don't need to use. I can still walk. I'm walking with a walker. So I don't need to actually wheel into the shower. I can walk into the shower, but everything's flat. And I've got like I've got like 4 or 5 grab bars all in the shower. There's no way I'm gonna fall down, right? But I wanted to make the point, like I originally it was a year and a half ago. I originally through an OT recommended, like this was back when I broke my hip. Like it's been about a year and a half, right? I broke my hip a year and a half ago, and so I through an OT. She's the one that got me the wheelchair. Although the Ministry of Social Development said we'll only pay for half because you don't really need
half
it.
a wheelchair.
You don't really need the wheelchair. It's optional.
You want the front or the back?
Yeah. So they said, well, we'll pay for half. And then again, through the OT, she said, well, BC Housing offers subsidies so that you can make additions to your bathroom to put in a accessible shower. And they said they'll give you up to $15,000 to do this, right? And this is what it cost me to put in mine. It was $15,000. But I have to say, like, I applied, and then the BC Housing said, well, you're making way too much money, Neil. We can't give you the $15,000. So I'm the one that's gone into debt again to pay for, because I don't have a choice. It's like I have it's true, I have a wife that can help me, but and she does a good job, I have to say, but the fact of the matter is that she was even having a hard time getting me in the old shower, the only one we had. She was even having a hard time getting me in there. So if she was having a hard time getting me in there,
it wasn't built for you.
Like, obviously, I have no choice but to bite the bullet and spend the $15,000 that I don't have. I have to say, I don't have it, but because I have a house, I do have equity in my house, so I'm able to I'm able to do it, though, right? And that's the only reason. But I mean, like, I've paid for everything, like, and again, this isn't a pity party. Like I'm just saying, like, there's so many people, like, not just me, like there's literally thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people out there that have paid for all of their own shit, all of their own mobility aids. Like, I've paid for
like that.
I paid for all my own crutches. I paid for every single mobility scooter. I've paid for all of the repairs. We used to have a accessible van. We had to pay all of that, all the repairs for that. We got no handouts for nothing.
No.
And again, this isn't a pity party. This is reality, where
this is what's happening,
where people are paying out of pocket for big ticket items. And I mean, you can say that my shower is a luxury, but if I can't shower, I mean,
a huge problem.
It's a big problem. If I can't, and like, if my own wife can't even help me in the shower because it's too hard for her, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And yet the government's told me that I'm sorry, you're making too much money, so you can go and pay for it yourself.
Yeah, it's like the government saying, "Oh, sorry, Neil, but we don't want to make it accessible for you, but you can make it accessible yourself by getting more debt. But no problem. But we can hand out money to big corporations and help them out, but we can't help out our own citizens. But we can claw back money." There's another thing I want to mention, Chantelle. I'm sure you've probably seen it on Twitter or X, and because Neil is not on there now, but there's a lot of stories, Neil, lately, and I've seen it everywhere, and just infuriates me because every time I see it, it reminds me of your situation that you're fighting still with the human rights.
11 years later. 11 years later.
Yeah, but there's stories where they're taking the premier right now. People are going like they're lashing, and they're so mad at the current government, and they're saying, "Well, I worked for many decades, years, paying into CPP, and now the government keeps on clawing it off me. They take it dollar by dollar." And they said, "For what? So what was the point even working in the first place?" And now the person's injured, and they're more disabled because of their disability. So now it's like, "Oh, thanks anyway, but now we're going to take it away from you because they say it's unearned income." And it infuriates me because that is earned income. I used to fight with the government, Chantelle. I had injured myself, severely injured myself years ago now, and I was thankful that I had. At the time, I was covered under the medical division through chiropractic and physiotherapy treatment. If I was, it would have been taken dollar by dollar off me. But the ministry argued with me, and they said, "No, it's unearned income." I go, "I paid into that. It came off of EI, but under the EI Act, apparently there's a subsection under there that says."
Tiny writing, you're not able to see ever. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And but the ministry's like, where are you reading that? And so I said, "Well, the doctor helped me." He goes, "Tell them to go to section this," and it was on their other screen. So they had a flipper. "Oh, there it is." I go, "Gee, how did the doctor know that? And you didn't know that, and you worked there." "Well, I don't know your disability." I go, "You should try and have my disability for a while. See how that works for you." You are. She called me every person. And I said, "Well, if you keep going there, I'll go and talk to your supervisor, and we'll see who's there again."
Yeah. My
I was
mom.
in pain. I was in pain. I was not a good happy camper.
Hey, you know what? Me neither. If I've got a problem, you're gonna hear it. Like I'm coming straight at you. I don't have a filter. So what goes in my head comes out my mouth. And if I don't like what's being said, I'll let you know. I have no problems.
I remember a time, Chantelle, where they said, well, they took the money off and they said, "Okay, well, come this afternoon. Come by 1:30 this afternoon, and we'll have a check for you." I go, "I can barely even walk." I said, "I go in pain, and you want me to come up to the office, stand in a lineup?" I said, "I'll crawl on my hands and knees." "Oh, are you kidding me?" I go, "No, I'm not kidding you. My leg is numb right now. My arm, I can't even barely feel my arm. And you want me to do that?" I said, "Oh, for God's sake." I said, "Give your head a shake."
And they would have expected you to go actually do it too.
Yeah.
Like, they don't care. They don't care about nothing but themselves. And
told me.
That needs to change. We need people in at least the premier spots.
Yeah.
The premiers of our provinces to give a shit about us.
Yeah.
At least one of them, like we need to have like at least one power player in every province that is going to be like, "Oh, wait, let's just up the disability to what it needs to be," and
show an example.
Show an example,
and then the other ones are going to follow suit.
Right, Maurice. That's who I would love for him to be Premier of Ontario.
MP Mike Maurice, Kitchener, Ontario. Mike Maurice is awesome.
Right on there.
We've had Mike Maurice on many times. He's a very strong advocate for persons with disabilities. I still remember that time, Chantelle, I think you were actually on at the time listening to the show I had on Hayden's mama. Do you remember her?
Yes.
Yeah. and she taught Mike Maurice a lot about advocacy, about what she had gone through, and that's when he said he really learned from that point on how important it is to for people in his community and in Ontario in the province of what stories of what people go through, and he will not stop. He said he will not stop advocating until till we get what we want.
Even on the phone with me, he actually answered the phone to me, and he said to me, he's like, you know what? We're gonna get it eventually. We're gonna keep fighting.
Yeah.
And he's like, even though you're not in my riding, and I shouldn't be taking this, I got you. So like he understood. Like I call everyone. I call every province. I don't care. I'm not like, okay, this is my province. I just stick to. No, we all have to come together and say what we want as one. Like, trust me, my people learned ages ago that divided we're conquered, united we stand.
I remember many years ago, I called up Manitoba, their government, and I said, why are you not giving enough for persons with disabilities in your province? You know, the response was, oh, well, we're actually, we take care of our citizens. I go, that's funny, because I'm hearing a different, you know, well, we got tax credits. They can apply for this. They can get that when they file their income tax. I go, no, I'm talking about their monthly amount. Well, there's always more to do. I go, right. I keep hearing that from BC. Oh, there's always more to do. Kick the can down the road, and then it never gets done.
I'm so sick of that, though. There's always more to do. Then damn well do it. Don't take 8 weeks off. Get it done, because you haven't done nothing for the last, like, the rest of the year. It's like the 6 months that you've been arguing back and forth during question period. Like, you've done nothing. Nothing has been done. Nothing has been accomplished in those meetings at all.
Well,
like it's ridiculous.
And I'm always careful, like we always talk, Brent, like I'm always careful not to attack the person, but to attack the policy.
It's the policy.
It's always important to center yourself on the policy being broken. It's not the person. I mean, the MP or the MLA, they have power and they can use their power. But in a lot of the cases, it's the policy that needs to be
absolutely
first.
The whole tax system needs to be revolutionized.
And that's where it stems from. You're right on that, because that's where the whole problem stems from. It's the policy. So whoever takes over the realm, right? It's like they basically have control on how that policy is administered. Do they want to modernize, or should they all get together around their little circle and say, you know what, let's change this policy for good. Let's don't keep tweaking little bits here and there. If we're going to change it, we're going to modernize it, then you know what, like what you do is you transfer the data from the current one over to a temporary operating system, rebuild a whole brand new one, put that data back in.
And you know what, Brent?
I don't know about
you know what, Brent? They could even make a new computer to give us back the bus pass.
Oh my God!
They could do that, Brent. They could.
There's a state-of-the-art computer system, though, coming next year.
I know they could build a brand new state-of-the-art computer to give us back the bus pass.
$45 a year bus pass, Chantelle. That seniors have.
They don't give us that in Canada. We are in Ontario. We're not people enough to get bus passes.
Oh well, we need to make that happen. Come on, Dougie, let's make the bus happen again.
Doug Boy needs to be buried somewhere.
He more wants the buck of beer. That's what he wants.
We're approaching the end of the show, Brent. So I didn't know if I want to do closing comments.
Yeah,
it's gone fast. It's gone fast.
Yeah, it always does, Chantelle. The time goes by so fast. And remember, I told you, I said, don't worry, we're gonna have a good time, and we always have a good time on the show. It's always good, you know. I've had
a wonderful time, and I feel really welcomed and invited. Thank you.
Good.
And you know, Chantelle, I want to thank you for coming on, because I want to have you come back on in the very, very near future. We always touch base and having guests come back on, and I'd love to have you come back on maybe why don't we look at, say, September? We'll get you come back on.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Anytime. Just, you know how to get me. I'm on Twitter. I'm always
Yeah.
bitching and belly aching.
And that's okay. That's okay. It's about holding the government to account. I guess with closing comments. Well, first of all, I'm going to let you have your closing comments first, Chantelle, and then I'll continue after that.
At this point, the government's not really going to do anything but sit on their hands, and I just want to see a UBI system come in for social assistance and OAS. And I think the federal government needs to change the entire tax system from 18, whatever they made it in, to 2021, because today's economy, today's world is way different than it was in the 1800s. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah, with the buying power now, I remember when I was a kid, and that's not, I mean, a young adult really. But I could buy, I could buy a bag of chips, a pop, and a chocolate bar, and I treat myself maybe once a month, maybe.
Yeah.
Because I would squirrel my money away. So I could go and buy myself a mountain bike. I really wanted this bike, and it cost me $500 at the time. Why? Because I got it all souped up. Well, yeah, and that was expensive bike because I got it all decked out, put mirrors on it. I put a reflector light on the back and a blinker, so which way I was turning, left or right. I put a little radio on the front and basket. Boy, I had it just completely decked out.
The streamers.
Yeah, like $500. That was a lot of money.
Yeah.
That was almost equivalent to say $1,500 or $2,000 for a bike.
Yeah,
so
which is what it is today.
Yeah,
we're looking into getting one, and they're like, I'm not paying that for a bike.
No, exactly.
I wouldn't pay that for a 1994 car.
No, and that goes to show you the buying power, how things have eroded away. And these government programs, the governments of the day, they should have realized that over time, we need to change things because these programs weren't designed to meet with inflation, cost of living going up. So you're right. We need some kind of a UBI, some kind of basic income, a GLBI, or whatever it may be. All these governments and programs, like if it's GST, EI, CPP, OAS, GIS.
All that together, though, then
all one program.
Pull it out among all of us.
Yep.
And make sure that everybody is getting $3,600 a month.
Exactly.
Their reasoning was, we need to give Alberta different money because they make different. Well, no, this is the economy. The economy is the same no matter where you go in Canada, stupid. Yep. And this is, it doesn't matter if you're in Alberta, Ontario, or buttfuck Idaho, you need to get this done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. If you live in a certain jurisdiction and it maybe it's a little bit cheaper by a few bucks. Okay, so you get an extra few dollars. Oh boy, you know what I mean? But like a standard right across, it can be done. And all you have to do is start taxing the ultra rich. But really, what it storms down to.
I've never heard of billionaires before now.
Yeah, it just comes down to.
I hear about multimillionaires before, barely. When I was young, I heard of millionaires, but I had never heard of multimillionaires, and I never heard of billionaires.
Exactly.
Not a one. But now they've given them so much money.
Yep.
Because they're taking it off our backs that they're billionaires.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a wealth that exactly. You just have to they have to just do a reboot.
Exactly. The whole system, everything needs to change. Yeah. Bring it up to 2020, even 2021. I'll even go down there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I like that. Where we're not in 1800. That's what it feels like. Government. Come on, let's modernize things.
It's the end of the show, so I don't mind if we go off topic right at the end. But I saw just the other day, I saw that NASA has found this asteroid that there were so many zeros after it. I don't know. It was like a quintillion. Like it wasn't $1 billion. It wasn't $1 trillion. It wasn't a quadrillion dollars. It wasn't a quintillion dollars. It was like
Godzillion.
More zeros. It said that's the worth of this asteroid. And that NASA wants to take this asteroid and bring it back down. So it's like, can you imagine what the world could do with like a quintillion, billion, whatever amount of dollars?
Trump's gonna get in an office and be like, "I just want that asteroid."
Yeah, give me an asteroid now.
Just give that to me now. It doesn't matter what it costs to bring it in. Just bring it in.
I've got all kinds of money. I'm a billionaire. I'm good.
Yeah.
Just bring me that asteroid.
Just bring that to me, please.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We'll have a parachute. Bring it in.
Yeah, parachute. Bring it down.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Chantelle, for joining us, and I look forward to having you.
I've had so much fun. I hope that I've been liberating.
You were blessed. You were blessed.
It's
we
been
covered
good,
a lot of information, stuff that needed to be said. And just to summarize the content, everybody that's listening to the podcast later on or watching now, we need to hold our government's policies. We need to modernize them, okay? But we need to hold the government who's in account right now, who's in government. We need them to promise to comply with the promised Canada Disability Benefit. We need to make it no less than $1,000, or better yet, go with the recommended amount that Michael Prince and Neil Belanger have recommended at $2,000. You know the data. You know what went on in the HUMA. Okay, the government. Okay, so let's listen to the lived experience stories of people with disabilities. Listen to the advocates. Listen to the allies. Listen to all the organizations that have told you what to do. Do not just go and do a 360 and go, well, here you go. Here's maximum 40% of the population is going to get this tiny little bit, but you need a DTP. Come on, that's child play though. Okay, let's make it accessible for everybody. No less than $1,000. That's tied to inflation, so it keeps going. It's a predictable amount, keeps going up. You guys tie your pensions to inflation automatically. You don't have to vote on it. You don't have to say, well, maybe we'll give an increase this year. No, you automatically get that amount. Provinces, I need you in the meantime, I need you to increase your disability amounts for people with disabilities up, boost it up while we wait for the federal government to figure out how to get this done right. In the meantime, federal government, let's get the DERB going, Disability Emergency Response Benefit, in the meantime, so we can make things a livable amount for everybody.
And you and I have one that's going to be released soon, Brent.
Yes, Chantelle.
You and I have partnered up with one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're actually working on one, Chantelle. It's going to be released very soon.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Good. We need a whole bunch of. We need everything done because the government is like Trudeau has to go.
Maybe Trudeau. Christopher Freeland, Kamel. Maybe we should rate the DERB. Maybe we should rate the Canada Disability Benefit ourselves. We could probably get it done a lot faster.
Yeah, probably in an afternoon because
within
we can actually converse about it.
We can get the money out to people, right?
Well, they did serve in like 3 days or something.
They did.
Yeah, snap. We'd have it done.
Yeah.
Shows the urgency, but it doesn't affect their lives then.
Was it you that we had a big community, like we were yapping and we were building our own little community in some jail down in Thunder Bay? Were you part of that conversation?
No.
We were like, oh, let's just, you know what? I just need a cell, just a bed to lay in. Bust out a couple of like walls and stuff, make them into apartments because we don't need no more jails. We need houses. We need housing.
We need to get people out of tents into housing. We need to
absolutely
so many things.
That's my thing is like
I'd love to talk to you about.
Cities are sad.
Yeah. Good. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning day. And thank you, Chantelle. And I look forward to having you on again very soon.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Anytime.
Thanks.
Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.